What's up, everybody? We're bringing you the finals of the Gym Leader Challenge at Game Haven, Baltimore, Maryland. We have Christian on Earthquake Fighting versus a Fire Draw by yours truly, Z-Man Cuddles, but piloted by Caleb. I ended up scrubbing out at 2-1 with Wochi and Grass. We have Earthquake Fighting actually going 5-1 total this week. Is this the one that went 3-0 or the one that went 2-1? You'll have to see. So here we have a really good setup. We have the Fampi, the Growlithe in the active, and an Okidogi with an energy attached. That's really what you want to see turn one. The Okidogi was fetched from the Suin Heavy Ball, and then Town Map reveals the rest of the prizes. Here on the fire side, we have Green's Exploration. And pause the video. This is why you play Green's Exploration in bad decks like Fire, because you see that Buddy Poffin in VIP, the whole bench is prized. You'll see later that Caleb had some pretty bad prizing, but getting the whole bench down is extremely helpful for just being able to set up. So we have an energy attachment down on the bench there to the Fampi, which is evolved into a Dawn Fan, and the Burn. So the Burn adds a little bit of pressure, but the problem is that that thing has 2 retreat, and with fighting, you should be taking the KO by now, so that slow start might punish him. We see a Clay, and this is when you know Christian is a real gamer. You discard 7 cards, keep all the items. It's like a Pokestop on steroids. A really, really fun card to play, if you ask me. So we're going to bench a Riolu and attach. I'm guessing that's going to be the Roaring, Revenge, Lucario, so that way you can have more damage counters. But again, fighting, having to take another turn off. Not able to punish a slower start, so Fire might be able to capitalize on that. We see Fireleaf Flint coming and getting 4 energy. We retreat into the Macargo so we don't die from the Burn. You don't see that every day. And speaking of things you don't see every day, here's a Pokenav to be able to get a Judge Whistle. It's awesome. We're just turboing through everything. This is a very gamer deck. I love when this kind of thing happens. We're evolving up the bench and finally going to get that Arcanine into play, but hopefully we can see something actually come by with it. So it looks like we're shuffling back in the Rainbow Energy with the special charge. Of course, the Rainbow Energy would proc the Arcanine, and looks like we're still just passing. So a really slow start for an aggressive deck like fighting. I think this might have been lights out if it took a prize on that second turn like it wants to do. But can't find its Float Stone, Escape Rope. You can see the Scoop Up Net is in the prizes there. So here we're going to have the rare Chi-Yu accelerating the energy to the Arcanine. This is a heads up play just to make sure you can set up the board and become disruption proof. You'll find that both of these decks actually set up to be pretty disruption proof by the end, and so you don't really see too many Marnies or Ionos coming in. And of course Fire doesn't normally play N because it conflicts with the smooth over ability. So here comes the Rainbow coming out from the Goose Mahala. We see a Pokestop discarding a couple people, and that Drillbur that's really cute. This is one of those kind of decks where when you see Clay and Pokestop and all these things, that 11th hour ability from the Excadrill might come live. So the Rainbow comes down and we have the Arcanine taking the prize. Kind of funny that we have 2 Arcanines in these decks. We see the Ninetales get powered up. This is really great because not only does this take out and get a prize, but it takes out the damage. So a really nice way to try to turn off the Arcanine. We're going to see a Battle Compressor coming down, thinning out some cards. One of my favorite cards in Gym Leader Challenge. And yes, the Roaring Resolve Lucario. So that's going to save the Arcanine, be able to continue to apply the pressure here. We see the Clay come down for the second time. Some Trek and Choose. We are just churning through this deck. We could probably deck ourselves out now if we really wanted to. And just trying to set up everything, establishing the board and prize mapping. So, you know, you have 5 prizes to take. You have 5 Pokemon down. That's pretty much going to be lights out if everything goes to plan. But, you know, if you know Fire with Charizard, it has a comeback mechanic. So things don't always go to plan. We see the Smooth Over come online. Caleb happy to take that out of prizes. And then the Revenge Knockout. Keeping it simple. Really trying to figure out what to promote. And that makes sense because the Fampi, you know, it only hits for the 120. So you want to try to take out something like a Chi-Yu. But those damage counters can really matter and can start to add up. You know, 20 everywhere might not sound like that much, but it can really add up. I had that problem too. I played Earthquake once last year and I hated the self-damaging. But anyway, we go down to 3 prizes. So we have a 3-4 game. And essentially, Caleb just has to find a way to come back. And again, if you know Fire, you know the way that's going to happen. So we see a superior energy retrieval, and Caleb told me afterwards that the one thing he would change about this deck is to put in Clara. Clara used to be in the deck. I ended up cutting it for Night Stretcher, and I realized how greedy that is when you have to discard something like a Versus Seeker because you cannot get rid of a Stretcher. But that Pokestop finding the double Stretchers and the Nest Ball to set up the Heat more, a little bit telegraphed, but I think that makes sense to just get around the disruption. So now we're going to look at that Okie Dokie finally coming into the active, trying to be a wall. But if you noticed a couple turns back, I should have mentioned this, the Arcanine actually got a muscle band attached to it. So, we always think about the 120 and the acceleration attack from the Arcanine, but what we're probably going to see here is actually the rare candy into the Charizard, yep, and then the 200 some damage from the Arcanine attack, which because of the 2 damage counters from Earthquake, that mattered. So that actually took the knockout there, and we have a 2-2 game. So Caleb here, if he's able to swing with Heat more next turn, he can come back. It looks like we're going to see a little bit of recovery with a Super Rod. Get that Okie Dokie swinging again. I wouldn't hate that, but then we'd also want to scoop up one of these liabilities from the Heat more. We even have the right energy on the Okie Dokie, so that's really great. That means Fire would have to have a Silent Lab or a Hex. And here we're going to see a game. We have the Guzma, we have the Snipe, and this is why Heatmore is the best way to play Fire. I think if Fighting could have got a little bit of more early pressure, if that thing didn't get stuck, we'd have a different game. But I think this did a great job of showing off the consistency of Fire Draw and a great finals with some underrepresented types.